Hello guys, so today we're going to talk about how to write this novel essay. Now this essay is different from the other ones that we've done because the other essays that we've written have been sort of analysis, argumentative essays, and this essay is much more creative. That's sort of why I was asking you about your experience with fan fiction, because this is actually kind of writing fan fiction. So let's take a look at the assignment first. So you can see up here that's going to be 1,000 words long, and it says that the Martian is told from two perspectives, first person from Mark's point of view and third person for the rest of the characters. Considering what we've learned about plot, action, setting, dialogue, and character, your job is to switch up the point of view for one of these scenes. This can either mean writing one of Mark's scenes from third or second point of view, or writing another scene from first or second person. You must use direct and indirect characterization to show the audience which character you chose and how they're thinking and feeling about the events of the book. And then I give you a couple of ideas to get started with. Just remember, this is a creative piece. You're going to use the elements we've talked about for the novel: dialogue, description, scene building, tension. The scene itself should be at least 700 words. That's what we're aiming for. You'll notice that 700 words is different from 1,000 words. That's because the scene itself is not the end of this essay. Then, in a short reflective essay, reveal who your character is and describe how you decided to characterize them, showing the places in your scene where you attempted to reveal characterization. So I rewrote a scene from The Outsiders last year because that's what my students were doing last year, and I uploaded that here so you can see sort of what I meant and what I would like you guys to do. Literally, this is just writing fan fiction, and then you can see also that I have analysis down at the bottom. As always, take a look at the rubric before you begin. So you get 10 points for completeness, at least 1,000 words long, 10 points for just including the analysis, 5 points for everything being in Mla format, 10 points for it's in the correct point of view and that it doesn't slip between point of views. That's a really big one. Make sure if you start in third person that you stay in third person. Dialogue, 10 points for several lines of dialogue correctly punctuated. I'll show you how to punctuate dialogue today. Characterization includes several pieces of character description that accurately portray the character from the book. So make sure that you're not like giving Mark, crazy goth vibes, or, don't mess up any of the characters. Try to stay true to the ones from the book. Direct and indirect characterization, several moments of direct and indirect characterization. Remember, direct characterization is saying something like, I am stressed, versus saying something like, I have a pit in my stomach and I feel like I want to vomit, right? That second one is indirect characterization. It sort of shows you my stress without telling you my stress. This is also show, don't tell. 5 senses, details use all 5 senses, so don't just stick to what you can see and hear. Try to think about things that you can smell, taste, touch, all that good stuff. Your analysis is thoughtful, complete, and well written, and the piece seems proofread to the best of the author's ability. So all of that is what you are going to be doing in this essay. This is a very creative piece. You can make stuff up, right? You can do it from the point of view of one of the families of the astronauts, make up their name, where they're from, what their relationship is. Like, this is creative. I just want to see you interacting with the elements of novelization that we've talked about so far with this unit. And you can see me doing this here. I actually had a video that I was recording where I was literally writing all this out, and then I thought that there was too much silence and it was too boring, so I'll just sort of do it all again. So you can see that I've already set up my page for Mla format, Katie Vagliano, my name, your professor's name, the name of the class, and the date. I just put spring 2022 since it's about to be April. Don't forget to put in your page numbers. I don't know why students always forget this, but everyone always forgets the page numbers. You can do that by just going up to insert and then click on page number. Super easy. Also, I put in this thing here that says analysis. I'm not going to write my analysis right now, but I just wanted to write it down so that I remembered to do it eventually. And then you also need to title your essay or your story. So I chose out of literally nowhere the title Phobos, which is also the name of Mars's moon. Which also means fear. So I thought that that would be a pretty interesting title no matter what I was writing about. And then I decided to write about Mindy. I find her pretty fascinating. I think her character is really cool. And so I decided to sort of expand the scene where she discovers that Mark is alive for the first time. So I'll just read you guys what I wrote, and I'll point out some things to you that are happening that I want to see happen in your own essays. All right. Mindy had always liked nights, but even as someone who drank a late cup of coffee and spent all of college gaming until the wee hours of the morning, actually working the night shift was draining. For one thing, she almost never talked to people at work. There were other night owls, of course. NASA was a city that never really went to sleep. Not when some of their partners were in Russia, China, Japan, meeting at different hours, coordinating time zones. But there was a difference between night and day here, and a skeleton crew manned the stations after dark. Her one nightly interaction came when her one constant night interaction came when she checked in through security. When she was a child, nothing in the world could have been cooler than having an ID badge that read NASA. Now she had to fish that ID out of the bottom of her bag every evening. Even dream jobs eventually just became jobs. Hal, the night guard, always smiled when he saw her coming, probably in reaction to her very much not smiling. Booked that vacation yet, Mindy? Hal thought she worked too much. Hal and Mindy's mother had that in common. That should probably be another paragraph. Not yet, Hal. I'll be happier when Aries is back. Ah, Hal said. But when Aries is back, another Aries will be out. The problem of this job, young lady, there's always someone up there who needs you. So I would continue on with this. Obviously, this is not 700 words, but this sort of shows you a preview of what I'm looking for. And I also stopped when I started writing dialogue so I can show you how to write dialogue. I swear I didn't actually know how to write dialogue until I got to college, despite the fact that I was publishing a lot of fan fiction before I went to college. No one ever actually told me that I was doing dialogue wrong every single time. So here's one of the things about dialogue. This is how you write dialogue. She said, right? So notice in this piece of dialogue, there's a comma here before she said. And then there's this, how you write dialogue. He walked across the room and dropped a piece of paper in the trash. So notice here that there is a period in the dialogue. When up here, when we wrote the same line of dialogue, there was a comma. This is what I didn't know until I got to college. If the thing that follows your dialogue is a tag, so a tag is like he said, he exclaimed, she shouted, they whispered, it barked, right? Like all of that stuff is tags, right? Stick to he said. Said is always a good tag. But if the thing that follows the dialogue is a tag, then the dialogue ends with a comma. If the thing that follows the dialogue is action, then the dialogue ends in a period. I cannot tell you, literally, there was a peer in my first creative writing class. His name was Alex. He wore a Quidditch t-shirt. That's all I remember about this kid. And the fact that he taught me how to write dialogue better than literally anybody else in my life had, because he showed all of this little things to me. It's a tiny little quirk, but now that I know it, I can never unknow it. Remember that if you have a tag, it ends with a comma. If you have action, it ends with a period. So yeah, I would continue on with here. I would make sure that I'm doing direct and indirect characterization. I would show Mindy's feelings the moment that she noticed that Mark was alive and sort of her indecision over being the smallest person on the totem pole and having to bring this up to a superior, right? Like anybody who's had a job knows that feeling of like, crap, now I'm going to have to tell somebody. And so I would write all of that down, and then I would finish up my piece and I would write my analysis. So in your analysis, make sure that you have how it felt to write the piece, the little moments that you tried to include in it, whether or not you thought you were successful in writing. Yeah, anything that you wanted to analyze about the piece itself and the process of writing it. It's an analysis/reflection. I always want you guys to reflect. But yeah, hopefully this is fun for people who are more creative and feel like that's where their talents lie over argument. Even if you feel like you like the argumentative essays, it's always nice to spread your wings a little and try something new. And if it turns out really well, publish it on a fan fiction website and see if anybody else likes it. All right, guys, good luck. As always, let me know if you have any questions.